to record. Okay, we're recording. Good morning. So we talked about this one yesterday. What should we do to start this one? I think we did one of these in this class. I can't remember for sure.
We did it right at the end.
Right at the end, we kind of reviewed this concept. What do? F of x is really y, and then we go ahead and switch all the x's and y's. I wonder if I have this on another slide. I do. So it becomes x equals 3y minus 7 over 2y plus 1. Then what? Cross multiply and be sure you distribute that x down there, right? So you can do it in different orders, but I did 2xy plus 1x equals, and going across this way, 3y minus 7. Now, I don't have a ton of room to show work. Can someone tell me what the next step would look like? So it'll say 2xy minus, gotta subtract that over here, equals, and we need to subtract this 1x over to the other side. So whether we write negative 7 minus x or negative 1x minus 7, whatever order, then anyone next step? Factor out a y. And then divide this, so we end up with y equals negative 7 minus x all over 2x minus 3. Or if you had done it in a different order, it would have ended up x plus 7 over maybe 3 minus 2x, whatever order, negative 2x plus 3. These are equivalent, okay? And at the end, you're really supposed to rewrite it with this notation. I heard Miss Abruzzo saying, this is a pre-calc thing, you should be expected to do this, but I haven't been picky on the quizzes, so either way, either one of these versions is good. Any questions? Need me to do it the other way? Need to see another one? Okay. Is this function one-to-one? Why? Okay. Yes. Passes vertical and horizontal line test. What does that mean in terms of the inverse? So the inverse will be a function. Inverse. Yeah, there's an N in there. Okay. It asks for a very, it is a free response question on the quiz, and it asks for a complete reasoning and explanation of what it means to be one-to-one. Everybody good? Okay. Is this on the same slide? Yes, it is, apparently. Okay. I need to scoot down. All right. Sketch the original g of x. So I'll do that in red. How do I sketch that, guys? Down 6. I can't. 2, 4, 6. Ooh, it seems pretty accurate. Okay. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So this is g of x. All right. Now it says sketch the inverse on the same graph. So I suppose we could just flip all the ordered pairs, but it does say you have to write the formula as well. So I think I'll just write the formula. How do you solve for that? So this will become x equals 2y minus 6. Then what? How do we move it? Plus it, add it, plus it. Did I really just say that? X plus 6 equals 2y. Then what happens when I divide everything by 2, guys? If we want this in y equals mx plus b form, 1/2 x plus 3. So then I can graph that one in blue. So it starts up at 3, and up 1 and over 2, or down 1 and back 2. Ooh, I didn't hit the dots very well. Okay, they should look like a reflection across the line y equals x. Mine are a little iffy. That line would go through here. Okay, it didn't get any better. I give up. It's right. This is crossing at 3 here and down here at -6, and it's crossing over here at -6 and at 3 here, or it would be if I could hit the dots. All right, then we are on to 2.1, which I am very concerned about because it's been a long time since we talked about this. Can we type that one in real quick? Someone help me. Let me get this cleared out of here. -2, then what was it? Cubed roots? Math number 4, cubed root of x minus 1. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm going to need a parenthesis. X minus 1, close parentheses, squared, and that's under the radical, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Everybody get it typed in correctly? So it's with a zoom 6, just kidding, zoom 6. It looks like this. Now, this is misleading. I need to tell you right now. It doesn't look like it touches my x-axis. I don't know about yours. Okay? Okay? If we trace, what does that x value look like? If we put in trace 1, enter, does it say it's touching? Yes. Or if you found a max right there, it would be touching. Okay? So, it was touching at 1. And I want to find just maybe 1 or 2 more points here. We're going to need the y-intercept, so could we find that value? How do you find the y-intercept, guys? Put in 0, enter, and it's down at -2. Well, that's convenient. That one's nice. I don't think the one on the quiz is that nice. It's a decimal, I think. And so this is my rough sketch. Does that work for everybody? Okay, domain and range, left to right interval notation. Okay, range, bottom to top interval notation.
-infinity to 0.
Good job. Everybody good? Yeah. Okay, x-intercept, where did it cross the x-axis at? -1, 0, and the y-intercept was, thank you. And the y-intercept was 0, exactly -2, right? Like I said, I think the one on the quiz, it's an ugly decimal, but. End behavior. Okay, this didn't go well. What are both the left end and the right end of this graph doing? Going down. So f of x goes towards -infinity twice. The y values are both going down. Once as x goes to the left, and once as x goes to the right. All right, is this continuous? My classes didn't have trouble with this. Miss Abruzzo's did. Can you draw this without lifting your pencil? Yeah, so it's yes. If there's asymptotes, then it's no, right? Questions? Okay. Here's one more of those, just in case, because this is a little, oh, I know what wasn't on that list that gave us trouble last time. this doesn't have increasing and decreasing, and those are on the quiz. Okay, what is it doing on the left side here? Increasing, right? Because you come from the left, and then it's decreasing. We use x values, so where does it change? At x equals 1. So it was increasing from the left until 1. How do we write that? Okay, and increasing and decreasing don't need brackets. Decreasing is from 1. Now, people put negative infinity because it's going down, but we're describing it as an x interval. We're saying to the right, so that's positive infinity. Everybody good? Okay. Do you want me to do a different kind of graph, or you want me to come back to that one, or come back to it? Okay. I think this is maybe these one like this. Is that right? Okay, that's not flat. Pretend I could draw. Okay, and this would be increasing, decreasing again, even though my picture's horrible. But domain and range would have some breaks, right? We can come back to that one. All right, number 5, is that where you guys are? Or did I skip something? Okay. This is on the quiz again, and I will tell you this time, I think there are at least one extraneous solution, maybe 2. What does that mean? That when you square things, you get an extra solution that doesn't work, right? And I did show you guys, Mrs. Bruiser did not spend a lot of time showing her class how to do these on the calculator. You can do them on the calculator and check, but if the algebra doesn't match, it's not going to be right. So if I square the left side, I just get what? Okay. If I square the right side, I do not just get x squared plus 1. Okay, x plus 1 times x plus 1, x squared plus 1x and 1x is 2x, and then 1 times 1 at the back is plus 1. Oh, good Lord. They're coming in for life safety. Yep, no cords in this room. Those fans shouldn't be in here either. I don't think there's anywhere I can put them. The fire marshal dude is out there. Okay. We just never run them unless it's just me in here, right? Hey. All right, guys, move everything over to the right so that we have 0. What happens?
Okay, I thought you were saying from the right to like sprinkles and gold or something.
Oh. What's happening? Oh, he's testing our...
Light your data.
Yes. I'm glad it works. All right, guys, x squared. Now what? Add 3x over there is plus 5x. Subtract 25 over there is negative 24. Factors x plus 8 and minus 3. Did I do that right? Negative 8 or 3. Anybody get those answers? Doing it on their own? I didn't make a mistake anywhere. Okay. 3 doesn't work? I don't think negative 8's going to work because negative 8 plus 1 would be negative 7, and you can't square root something and get out a negative, right? So negative 8 would be, this would become square root of 49, but over here you'd have negative 8 plus 1, which is negative 7, and a square root cannot be a negative, right? Unless there was a plus or minus somewhere or an x. So this does not work. So this is extraneous. If we put a 3 in, we get 25 minus 9, which is 16, right? And 3 plus 1 over there is 4. That seems like it's checking. So what would I see if I graphed that square root and that line? They would intersect exactly once at when x is 3, right? Sorry. Okay, this one not so fun. Yes. It's not true. Right. Good question. Anybody else have a question? Thanks, Cameron. I don't want you to get something wrong because of a little misconception. Okay, guys. Which side comes out nicer here? Yeah, everything was under the radical, so we just end up with an x plus 29 when we square that side. This side, we have a square root of x plus 5 times the square root of x plus 5. Square root of x times square root of x is square root of x squared, which is x. Okay, then I have plus 5 square roots of x, plus another 5 square roots of x, plus a 5 times 5 or 25. Okay, ideas? Okay, we can combine those and get 10 square roots of x. Can I subtract an x off each side at the same time? So get rid of that. Then I have a plus 25 equals 29. If I subtract, I have square root of x, or 10 square roots of x, I'm sorry. We're doing our algebra first, so we're subtracting. Get 4. Then what? Divide by 10, or you could square it right there. I would have divided by 10. Oops, I don't know what happened there. And then we have to square both sides again. We could reduce this first. It's going to reduce eventually, right? 4/10 is 2/5. If we square both sides, we get x equals what? 4/25. If we had squared it here, we would have had 16 over 100. But guess what that reduces to? Yeah. Okay, I suppose we got to go back and check this. Fun. Square root of 4/25 plus 5 is supposed to equal the square root of 4/25 plus 29. Okay, the square root of that is 2/5 plus 5, which would be 5.4 if you did it as a decimal, right? Okay, so let's type this in our calculator. 4 divided by 25 plus 29. 4 divided by 25 plus 29. And a math enter is the square root of anybody do just that part? 4/25. Well, you got 29.16. 29.16. You could have done it as a fraction as well. Then when you square rooted, did you get 5.4? Okay. You could have done it as a fraction. Doesn't matter. Either way, if you type it in carefully, it does check. Yes? All right. That was joyous. So no extraneous solution on that one. But there's at least an extraneous solution. And be real careful. If you check and it doesn't work, check it again, because sometimes you didn't check it right. So be careful. You could graph it, right, to see where it intersected, to check. All right, then we're on to 2.2. This is new stuff that we have not quizzed on yet. It says determine the zeros, including multiplicity, and describe the end behavior. And I think the quiz asks about turning points as well. Oh, no, not on this question, maybe. No, maybe it does. I don't know. I'm going to pretend it does, okay? So, we got to figure out the degree of this disaster. There's a 2 out front and an x squared. If we FOILed all that together, we'd end up with what power of x? and x cubed, and then on the back parenthesis, there's just an x. The only coefficient multiplied by any of those x's was the 2 out front. So the leading coefficient is 2. What degree would we have, though? 2, 3, and 1 would be degree 6. Okay. The fact that it's an even degree means what about the end behavior? They either both go up or both go down, right? Both end behaviors are the same. Okay? Now, a positive leading coefficient means they're both up. How many turning points would this have? Yes, I don't think it's this question that asks that, but because the degree is 6, the turning points is 1 less than that. Okay. What are the zeros, including their multiplicity? Somebody's going to write down, somebody's going to write down 2. Is 2 a 0? This 2 is not, but there is a 2 that's a 0 here, right? That was a weird question. Okay, this 2 does not indicate that there is a 0 at 2. There is a 0 of multiplicity to where? At 0. Okay, then this quantity x minus 2 is a 0 of 2 of multiplicity 3, and there is also a 0 at, and you don't have to list the multiplicity if you don't want. I'm going to write multiplicity 1, and then the multiplicities should add up to the degree as well. Okay. What did we decide both ends were doing? Up. So where do the 2 positive infinities go? At the y values. And then one of these is left and one of these is right. Everybody good? All right. There is one of these questions. It says state the number of possible real zeros and turning points. Now, if you graph this, I don't believe it actually has 4. Oh, actually it might. We'll see in a minute when we factor it. But it's possible not to have 4, right? Could have 2 imaginary or something, or even all 4 imaginary, but it wants the number of possible real zeros, which is just the degree. So what is that? And turning points then would be 3 because it's degree minus 1. Okay, moving on. Factors. I hope you remember how to do these. How does this thing factor? X squared and x squared. Good job. Factors of 44 that make 15. 11 and 4, and they would both be negative. Now, is that fully factored? Yeah. This further factors, the x squared minus 11 is not factored nicely, so I would just leave it. But what does x squared minus 4 factor as? An x minus 2. Now, exact real zeros. Well, negative 2 and 2 for sure. Are these real? How can we decide that? Yeah, if you set that equal to 0, and you add 11 over there, plus or minus square root of 11, and I don't care if you write it as plus or minus. How could you check? Could you graph it and make sure there were 4 places that it crossed at, and 2 of them should be goofy decimals, and 2 of them should be 2 and negative 2? But if you give me goofy decimals, I'm not going to give you credit, because it says they have to be exact. Everybody okay? I mean, if it came out, if this was a plus 11, if it had been x squared plus 11 when we set it equal to 0, then what? They're not real. So you could just leave it off your list, right? If it has an I, it's not real. You don't need it on the list because it said real solutions. Okay. This is a biggie. This is on the post-test final exam. Okay. What can you tell me about this graph? It says even or odd degree. How do you know it's an even degree?
They're both the same.
Okay. In this case, down, right? Okay. So later on at the end of this problem, we should double check that it has what out front? A negative coefficient. Okay. They gave us the zeros right here. It lists them as -4, 0, and 5. It might not be listed tomorrow in the quiz. They're just kind of hard to see on here. You might have to actually look at the graph to tell. Okay. Any multiplicities? It is an explain question tomorrow. Any multiplicities? Why? Martin got this? There is a multiplicity because of the bounce at -4. -4 is multiplicity 2 because of the bounce. Okay, and 0 and 5 are just multiplicity 1. All right, can you write them as factors? Where do you want to start? The -4, the factor would be x plus 4. Okay, don't forget the squared. That's what happens is everybody writes me a note about the multiplicity because it's an explain and then they forget to put it in the equation that way. Now, I'm going to write that one as x minus 0. You certainly could just put the x out front, right? And 5 would be x minus 5. Okay, are we at a degree 4 still? Okay, but there is some kind of a coefficient, and it could be ugly. So you can use A or K or whatever you want. It says find the stretch K, but I don't care if you use the wrong letter as long as you get the answer right. Kind of stuck. Where do we go from here? See, we knew the scale of the x's was 1, but the y scale is unknown. Somehow at 1, it is up at 300 here. Okay? So the scale it's counting by is very big here. But what do we do with that again? We plug 300 in for y, and all of the x's become 1. I don't have a lot of room for work here. So I get 300 equals k. This would be 5 squared or 25. That's supposed to say 25. Wow. Either my tablet's not working or I can't write. 25. I'll just write bigger. That'll help. 1 minus 0 is 1. And 1 minus 5 is -4. So 25 times 1 times -4 multiplies out to be -100, right? Do I add? Divide. So if I divide by -100, yeah, down at the bottom, this doesn't work so well. I got k equals -3. Okay. So my answer is -3. I could just write x for that x minus 0, x plus 4, and x minus 5. Could I type that in if I wanted? Anybody want to read me what we had? I'm going to leave this one, go down. -3 and an x and an x plus 4 quantities squared and an x minus 5. Okay. I don't know what the scale is. I'm just going to do like -5 to 5. But up and down, it's very tall, right?
The Y scale says
No, it really doesn't say. You think by 50s? I don't know. I'm just gonna put something in here. Because whoa, yep, mine is not good.
You could probably do, well, it's 1850s, so.
One, like 300 and do 1,000. It really doesn't matter what it looks like. It's not gonna look exactly like theirs necessarily. What matters is that it crosses at those places that we thought it did. And that if we do trace 1, it comes out at 300, right? Long as it's got the right shape, the right zeros, and it contains that point, doesn't matter what your window is set to. All right, this one is a regression, and you have to be able to store the equation in your calculator. And it says, and it will say specifically on the quiz, this one says power. Okay, I don't have these typed in and we're running out of time, so I'm going fast. Stat, enter. Oh dear Lord. Okay, somebody read me the first list.
10, 20, 30.
Okay,
40.
I can't even get the first one right, hang on. 10, 20,
30,
30, 40, and what?
50, 60, 70.
Goes all the way out there? Great. I had, okay,
Okay. 4.2, 16.7, 37.6, 66.9, 104.5.
wait a minute, 104.5, that's not a decimal. Okay, then what? 150.5, 204.9. Oh, good Lord. Okay. To look at it if you wanted, you would have to turn a stat plot on and tell it list 1 and list 2. And do a what? Zoom 9, but I would have to have all these things turned off. Okay. You don't really have to do that on the quiz. Well, yes, you do, because it says draw the scatter plot. So that's the scatter plot. So on the quiz tomorrow, I gave you a little doop doop and said draw the scatter plot. So I need to see that it looked like that, okay? It says create a scatter plot right here. Then it says to do a power function. How do I do that? Stat, right arrow, power. That's not on there. You have to scroll down and find it. I don't know what it is tomorrow. It might be quadratic. I can't remember. Power, list 1 and list 2. And you have to be able to store it. The shortcut we learned was alpha trace. Otherwise it's vars, arrow to the right, enter. I'm going to put mine in Y3 so that I don't have to. Everybody good? Okay. This is not a hard one to write because you only have to put in an A and a B. If it's quadratic, you have to put in an A, B, and a C. And I think it says out to 3 decimal places tomorrow. So this would be 0.042 times x to the 1.998. Y equals 0.042 x to the 1.998 power. Okay, then what are we supposed to do? Predict 80 miles. And you have to use the saved equation, guys. You can go to the table and scroll down to 80, or if you have it turned on to Ask Auto, then you just type in an 80. I got 267.3. Anybody? And that was feet, I believe. Yeah, it said distance in feet right here. Questions? Okay? If you just put in a couple decimal places, you're not going to get that same decimal, and I will know. Yes. Okay, good question. If you, it's second, window. It's Ask Auto. And if you want to get rid of that feature, it's Auto. Okay? But you guys need to get good at doing that yourselves. Okay. Moving on, because we're almost out of time. Okay. Oh, good. Synthetic first. I can do synthetic division. What am I going to put in the little box? -3, the 0 for this. Do I need any placeholders? Okay, I have a 3x to the 4th, a 2x cubed, but I have 0x squareds, then a -1x and a 65. If you mess up the placeholder, you're just done for, guys, so please don't. Watch for the placeholder. Okay, watch those closely. Bring down the 3, -9, add is -7, multiply is +21, add is 21, multiply is -63, add is -64, multiply 12, 192. No? Okay. And so 257. Did someone else do that and got that horrible remainder? How do we check that that's the right remainder? Anybody remember that? The 0 is -3, so we could put a 0 of -3 in to the original. And it should come out 257. Okay, so if you're concerned you didn't do it right, that's how you check the remainder. Okay, the quotient polynomial. So I want to know what this is. What does this mean, guys? That's a constant x squared, x cubed. Anybody? 3x cubed minus 7x squared plus 21x minus 64 plus 257 over, what did we divide by? X plus 3. Really should use a flat fraction bar. I hate those kind of fraction bars, but I ran out of room. So is this a factor? No. Explain how you know it isn't a factor. There's a remainder, right?
Is that a table on there? Because it says x plus 5.
Oh, yes, this should be a 3. I don't have time to go back and check if 5 is. It'd be good for us to check, but let's just go with it said x plus 3. Yeah. A typo on something I did, really. Okay, we could check if -5 is, but anyway. Oh, long division. Okay, 2x squared plus x minus 1. Any placeholders here? No. Okay, who can help me? 2x squared became 4x cubed. 2 and an x. So I have to multiply that by all 3 of these terms. So I get 4x cubed plus 2x squared minus 2x. And then we all make a mistake unless we remember we are subtracting each of those terms. So this is a 0, this is a 10x squared, and this is a plus 5x, and I can bring down this minus 5, which looks like it's going to go in exactly what? Anybody? Oh my gosh, it just like quit working totally. Oh. Plus 5. So that would be 10x squared plus 5x minus 5, and then it would go in evenly. So the quotient was 2x plus 5. Questions? Okay. This is on there. We got time to finish, just barely. A 0 of 0, you could write a factor of x minus 0, right? Or you could just write x. Plus or minus 3 means what are those two factors? X plus 3 and x minus 3 in any order you want. But if negative 2i is a 0, what else has to be a 0? We learned this yesterday, Jacob. They come in conjugate pairs. So that's why there's a dot, dot, dot there. So that would become an x plus 2i and an x minus 2i. Can I just throw that on the back here? It says I have to have real coefficients. Are those real? So I have to go ahead and FOIL those two and only those two together. So I get an x squared minus 2ix plus 2i times x minus 4i squared. Those subtract out. What is x squared minus 4 times negative 1 going to become? X squared plus 4, which does not factor, because it's not a minus. If it factored, again, x plus 2 and x minus 2, then there wouldn't have been I answers up there, right? Okay. Can you get that one right tomorrow?
Probably.
All right. We good?
There's 2 review part sections on the quiz tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Inverses and then.
2.1, yes. 1.7 and 2.1, it's a second try, so make sure you get those right. And otherwise, you got to retake them. And 2.2 and 2.3, we don't want to have to retake if we can help it.